this time, we'd like to call Hans Dekkers to give us their thoughts on the wall itself and what his country thinks of the liberation of Holland.
I was touched by the words that I heard so far from the speakers that went before me. I will briefly touch now on Canada's contribution to the liberation of the Netherlands and my thoughts on what this wall can mean for us today. And World War II veterans and honored guests, Cranbrook is not a big city. And yet our beautifully redesigned memorial park shows us a memorial wall with a sobering long list of more than 900 names. Names of men and women of our city and region who have stood up and made their contribution to the freedoms we now enjoy. In the fall of 1944, the 1st Canadian Army was ordered by General Montgomery to conquer the waterway giving access to the Belgian port of Antwerp. And this battle proved to be a very tough one and demanded nearly 6,500 casualties. The war cemetery in Bergen-op-Zoom in the south of the Netherlands shows many graves of Canadian soldiers that gave their lives on that battlefield. The west of the Netherlands was liberated by the 1st Canadian Army Corps. The civil population of the west of Holland had suffered tremendously in the so-called hunger winter of 1944 to 1945, being deprived by the Nazi occupiers of basic food and fuel supplies. So when the Canadian 1st Army Corps liberated them in the spring of 1945, they were welcomed as superheroes. And the eastern half of the Netherlands was liberated by the 2nd and the 3rd Canadian Army Corps. And in total, circa 6,000 Canadians gave their lives for the liberation of the country in which I was born. I want you to know that the Netherlands has not forgotten her liberators. Every year, on many, many locations, ceremonies are held, wreaths are laid, and the fallen are remembered. Her Majesty Queen Beatrix, together with top officials of Netherlands government, military and institutions, come together to lay a wreath at the National Memorial Monument to remember the dead and to pay tribute to those who liberated us. And this memorial monument stands on Dam Square in downtown Amsterdam, a city which surrendered 60,000 Jews to the extermination camps of Nazi Germany. This beautifully redecorated memorial wall park reminds us of this past and reminds us of these men and women who served our nation. But may this memorial wall also remind us of our own responsibilities in our own lives, in our own potential war zones, today, even this day. For every war, big or small, including the world wars that we've seen in the last century, every war that ever took place grew out of the seeds of seemingly small and seemingly insignificant acts of wrongdoing and injustice. And may this wall remind us that one careless or foolish or selfish act by you or by me has the power to change a life with a future into a life with pain and crushed hopes. And may this wall remind us that one thoughtful and kind and generous and inspiring and serving act may turn away wrath and bitterness and hopelessness and instill in the other a joy and a strength to go on and to go on together. We are proud of these men and women of Cranbrook and the region whose names are listed on this wall, some of whom were liberated the Netherlands. But we cannot live ourselves on the merits of others. We must display merits of our own. We must strive each day to be better dads and to be better mums and to be better sons and better daughters and better neighbors, better workers, better employers, better stewards of our friends, better stewards of our finances, and better friends. And we must find ways to embrace multiculturalism without throwing overboard those very values which have served our Western society so very well for many centuries. I'm truly excited to be a part of a city, a beautiful city, in a beautiful valley, filled with beautiful people that care enough about the past to rejuvenate and beautify and rededicate this memorial wall. And I'm confident that the same spirit of respect and honor that brought us this redecorated memorial area will help us today, together, to live responsibly, carefully, while serving others. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deckers, for those kind words. We'll now call upon the community band to do a hymn.
O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. Beneath the shadow of thy throne, thy saints have dwelt secure. Sufficient is thine arm alone, and our defense is sure.
We'd like to call upon our Legion President, Mr. Bob Muir, to do the act of remembrance.
Before we have Mr. Ward come up to play the last post, which will be followed by a moment's silence and reveille, please, during the silence, let us pause to think reverently of those of our comrades who by sea, by land, and in the air laid down their lives for their sovereign and country. Their sacrifice will ever inspire us to labor on to the end that those who survive and need our aid may be assured of assistance, and that the country in which we live and for which they died may ever be worthy of the sacrifice they made. With these thoughts in mind, I will say, they shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lord God of hosts, be with us yet, lest we forget, lest we forget.